Mundelein has a very specific mission: forming men to be priests in parishes. Not just of teaching, not just for giving a skill set, this wonderful term called formation, where you put it all together.
At Mundelein, we do a really good job, particularly of learning pastoral skills and having that experience of being in parishes and getting to know people in that way. Part of the greatest joys and some of the greatest sorrows and tragedies of their lives. But to be in that place is really a privileged place.
It's necessary for the priest to be able to draw upon the knowledge that he's acquired and to see what that looks like in everyday life, and then to speak to it, in order to help people, lead to the healing and the joy and the grace of Christ. All that he has to do, though, is be creative and be flexible and be a collaborator.
My favorite thing about being here at Mundelein was the fraternity, the community, and the relationships. To walk, side by side with these men that are striving for the same goal, going through the same things as me, and are able to support me was a beautiful thing, and something I carry with me even today as a priest.
If you pick your feet up in the river of grace and you let the river take you, you let the Lord lead you, then He's going to take you to places and people and experiences that you never would have had ever in your life. You can never construct the adventure that the Lord has for you.
When we say we are Mundelein, that we includes you. We can only do this with your collaboration. Hi, I'm Father John Carci, the rector at Mundelein Seminary. It's hard for me to believe that we're celebrating our centennial year this year. For more than a century, Mundelein has been helping to prepare men to be holy, happy priests in parishes across the United States and beyond. We like to say blessings begin here, but that really means they begin with you. The generosity, prayers, and support from people across the United States and internationally throughout the years are what make it possible for us to fulfill our mission. This year especially, that generosity is appreciated. We've been blessed to have an anonymous matching grant offered in the amount of $50,000. That means every dollar you can give to support us will be automatically doubled up to the amount of $50,000. So whatever it is you're able to give in support of our mission, please know how incredibly appreciative we are of it. Blessings begin here, and that truly does mean they begin with you. Please keep us in your prayers in the year to come, and know that you remain in ours. God bless you.
I can't think of anything right now more important in the life of the church than to cultivate a place like Mundelein Seminary. It's formed already generations of priests. We need priests now desperately in our culture. Mundelein has shaped me in decisive ways. This is Bishop Barron. Listen, I am delighted to be able to pay tribute to Mundelein Seminary as you enter into your centennial year. I remember very vividly my first time to Mundelein. It was the spring of 1979. I was a student at Niles College Seminary. I'd never been to Mundelein before, and it was the first really warm day of the spring. Now, Chicagoans, I'm out here in Santa Barbara now where it's nice all the time, but Chicagoans know after the dismal winter, that first really nice spring day means a lot. Well, that day I had class in the afternoon, but two buddies of mine said, "Hey, we're skipping class. Do you want to come with us? We're going up to Mundelein." So I confess this now, I did play hooky. I skipped class that afternoon, and I went with the two of them up to the seminary. And it was just a magical experience. I remember it to this day very vividly. I had never seen a place quite like Mundelein. The sheer beauty of the environment, the way nature and architecture sort of played off each other. And it just stayed in my heart as like a symbol of, I don't know, the church and beauty and spiritual goodness. And I'll say this to you honestly, even though I came back through those front gates, thousands of more times, I never lost that sense of the beauty and sort of mystique of Mundelein. Eventually I became a theology student at Mundelein, lived there in 2 North very happily, spent 4 great years preparing for the priesthood. I think of those years very fondly, marvelous friendships that I have to this day. So I was ordained 1986, and then I did time in the parish, but then went for my doctoral studies so that I could come back to teach at Mundelein, which I did then from 1992 until 2012, on and off. What years those were. I mean, I spent much of my adult life on that gorgeous campus, walking around the lake, teaching inside those buildings, worshiping in the main chapel and in the house chapel, cultivating friendships and relationships that have meant the world to me, growing in the midst of this community of prayer and study and contemplation and pastoral commitment as a human being, as a Christian, as a priest. So Mundelein, from day one, has just meant the world to me. It was one of the great privileges of my life to be named rector of Mundelein in 2012 by Cardinal George. And when I became rector, my sense was I might be able to contribute in my small way to this great heritage, this great tradition. In my office, my rector's office, I put a photograph of Reynold Hillenbrand, my great predecessor as rector from the 1930s and 1940s. Hillenbrand shaped one of the great generations of Chicago priests, people like Monsignor Bill Quinn and Monsignor Jake Kilgallen and Monsignor Jack Egan. And I knew some of those men when I was a young priest and they were in retirement years. But I took in from them a lot of the Hillenbrand spirit, which I recognize now as very much of a Chicago, very much of a Mundelein spirit. And I mean the link between liturgy and the works of justice, the link between the beauty and truth of our tradition. How the study of the faith informs our pastoral work, and the pastoral work then informs the study of our faith. All of that I picked up from Hillenbrand's disciples. And so when I became rector, I wanted that to become a motif of my leadership. They were some of the most joyful years I've had as a priest, period. I loved those 3 years, being able to contribute to the tradition of Mundelein. A great joy, too, when I was rector was to preside over the renovation of the John Paul II chapel. So we turned the house chapel into this chapel dedicated to the great, now newly canonized John Paul II, filling those empty windows with stained glass windows of some of the great figures that he had beatified and canonized. I saw that really as my love letter to Mundelein, if you want. As I left in 2015 to become a bishop out here in California, we had just finished work on that chapel. So I kind of saw it as my maybe tribute to and sign of gratitude to Mundelein. But Mundelein has shaped me in decisive ways. As I mentioned, I spent much of my adult life at Mundelein. It's the community that I grew in as a person, as a Christian, as a priest. I can't think of anything right now more important in the life of the church than to cultivate a place like Mundelein Seminary. It's formed already generations of priests. We need priests now desperately in our culture, our increasingly secularized culture. We need people to speak of God, to speak of Jesus Christ, to speak of the sacraments, to go forth and to minister in the Spirit of Jesus. That's what we need. Mundelein is a place where such people are being formed. So let's pay tribute to Mundelein as we enter into the centennial year, and above all, let's support it financially and with prayer. And God bless you all.